Hello debutantes! Today on our episode of Don't Get Pinstressed, we'll be making this cute number 4 for our 4th of July home decor. I will leave the Pinterest link in the description box, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so for this craft you're going to need a number 4. This I picked up at Joann's. It's a paper mache 4. Trying to see if I know what size it is. I'm not 100% sure, but what's nice about it is you want it to be able to kind of stand up, which you may have to give a little bit of help because this one doesn't want to stand up. But you need a big blocky 4. Then you're going to need some Mod Podge, some paper napkins. These are blue napkins with white stars. I did purchase these at Joann's. They were $4.99 and then half off of that. And there's these are actually 16 guest towels, it says. If you cannot find these, you can paint your 4 blue and use a star stamp and some white paint to put the stars on, but I just think this is a much easier way to do it, so try and find these napkins. You're going to need some cute little twine. This is some red and white, actually Christmas twine that I had in my craft stash. You're going to need some red paint, some white or creamy white paint. You need a brush for the paint and you need a brush for the Mod Podge that we will be coating the top of the number with. So first step we're going to do is we're going to paint the 4 the creamy white color, because when we put our napkins on we don't want to see this brown, we want the white to really pop. And then we're going to go ahead and paint the outside here nice and red. And I will probably paint the back a blue color, so you're going to need some blue paint as well as the cream and the red. So I'm going to go ahead and just knock the paint out. Everyone knows how to paint. I don't think you need to watch me do this. So I'm going to paint this the creamy color, this part red, and then the back I'm going to paint a dark blue. So let me get all of that done and then I will show you what we're going to do in our next step. Okay, so we have our number painted. I put the white or the cream color on the top, the red on the sides, and the blue on the back. So our next step is going to be applying our napkin to our number. So we have our blue with white stars. Now, these napkins are 2-ply. Excuse Bella, I'm trying to get her to be quiet. Bella, be quiet. So you want to peel the white part off of the napkin, and it's just a matter of finding a part that, and they just come apart just like that, and you just want to make sure you pull all of this white off of the blue. So obviously I've already done that with this napkin, and because it had some creases in the paper where it was folded, I just ran an iron over it really quick. It's going to wrinkle a little bit as you put it on to your number, but I didn't want those wrinkles to really show. So now the most difficult part is going to be getting your stars as straight as possible, and I can kind of see through my napkin a little tiny bit, so I'm going to lay it down and try to line it up like that. Now I don't have anything on the 4 yet, I've just lined the napkin, so I'm going to, now that I've got it lined up pretty much where I want it, I'm going to hold it with one hand and kind of pull it back with my other hand, and I'm going to put a little bit of Mod Podge down. Now this is just matte Mod Podge. This comes in gloss, it comes in glitter. I just prefer the matte for my style of decorating. So I'm just going to put a, not a super thick coat, but you don't want it really thin. And I'm just going to coat this bottom part of the 4 so that I can get my napkin laid down. You kind of want to get any of the really thick parts smoothed out with your brush. So now, fingers crossed, you're just going to lay that down and kind of rub your fingers. You can pull it a little tiny bit while you first put it down, but remember this is a paper napkin and it will tear. So now that I've got that bottom part done where I like it, now I can fold it back the other way, and now I can just continue with the Mod Podge. And like I said, you don't want it super, super thick, but you don't want it super thin. You definitely want it to adhere, but because it's such a thin piece of paper, you most certainly do not need a lot of glue. It does dry relatively quickly, but with something this small, you should be able to get the Mod Podge covered on the rest of your number. So there I have that covered, and now I'm gonna take it and just fold this back again, pulling it slightly, not hard, just to make sure that it covers, and then just do the same thing. Rub that down. Just like that. I'm going to let it dry just for a little bit, and then I'm going to coat the top with the Mod Podge before I tear away or cut away the paper. I tore it on the one I was making Maureen, and I may use a razor knife, I'm not 100% sure. So like I said, I want this to dry just a little tiny bit so I don't tear the paper when I put my coating of Mod Podge on the top. So let's let this dry, and then we will get back with the next step. Okay, so I let it dry a little bit, and then I coated it. I think you can see the 4 right there. The whole napkin is still on the 4, but I went ahead and took my Mod Podge and I just coated the top right where I could see the 4, and I tried to keep all of my brush strokes kind of going in the same direction. I didn't go all willy-nilly. That's probably just a preference. You could do it any way you wanted. So now I'm gonna let this dry because I want the paper to get a little hard with the glue, and then I think I'm gonna take a razor knife and cut it out. I think that'll give it a cleaner edge. But there was one tip I wanted to tell you. I can't tell you how many times I've closed my Mod Podge and not been paying attention, and there has been glue all along this top, and then I close the lid and then I can't get it off. I have to get my husband to get a wrench to get the lid off. So just make sure you wipe the lip of your Mod Podge off before you close it so that it will live to see another day of Mod Podging. So we're gonna go ahead and let this dry, and then of course we will move on to the next step. All right, so I let it dry, and now I'm ready to cut it out. I have a self-healing mat underneath here in case I want to flip it over. If you're cutting it out on the top, you won't need this because you're not going to go onto your surface. We're going to try doing it from the top first, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to flip it over, but I think this is going to work. So I have an X-Acto knife with a pretty new blade on it, and I'm just kind of plunging it down into the paper, feeling I don't want to cut the paper mache letter, and I'm just going to go really easy, just pushing it down as I go. I'm not really slicing it. I'm kind of just doing like a piercing on the paper to get it to come free so I don't have too many jagged edges. So I'm just going to reach in and kind of grab the napkin so I can keep it nice and tight, and I'm just going to keep on doing that around the whole number. But I'm going to finish this part so you can see what it looks like when it's all cut out. Your edges should be nice and clean. If they're not, that's not a big deal. You can definitely sand it down with a nail file. So let's see, pull this right off. So there you go. The center is all cut off. It's a little jagged right here, but like I said, I'll probably go in with a nail file and just sand that off a little bit, or I might just leave it, and it will add to the rusticness of the letter. I mean the number, letters, number, you know, whatever, I homeschooled. So I'm gonna finish cutting all of the paper away, and then I will show you what it looks like when I am all done. I have a feeling it's probably gonna take me a few minutes because I want to be kind of careful while I do it. All right, so here we go. It is all cut out, all nice and clean. Like I said, up here, the edges were a little rough, so I'm just gonna take one of these thick nail files, and I'm just gonna lightly kind of sand that a little bit. I mean, I don't really care if it looks rustic because that's kind of my decor, but you know, anything kind of jagged, you just want to go ahead and just file that. You can do it to all the edges if you want. You can expose some of the paper mache underneath if you want it to even look more rustic. So there's our number pretty much complete. And then last thing to do is to take some of this twine that I showed you and just kind of wrap it around the bottom to give it a little bit more of a decorative look. And I think this will wrap around 2 or 3 times. That's Bella. I apologize. That dog. So now once you get it all wrapped around, I'm going to kind of take both ends and go underneath what I just did on that side. And now I'm going to just tie it in a cute bow or knot or anything that you want to do. Of course, I tied that upside down. Let's try that again. So there we have it. I'm just gonna trim that string a little bit and then I will show you what it looks like in my 4th of July decor. So here's my 4 on my shelf with a little vignette. I couldn't get it to stand up. It was a little too top heavy. So I went ahead, if you can see, I used one of those 3M adhesive strips that peels away very easily. I just put it on the bottom of the 4 and stuck it to the shelf and it seems to be working. So here is the 4 that we made. I think it looks really great. And I hope you make this project. Please let me know if you do. Please like this video if you like projects like this. And I would appreciate if you would subscribe if you have not already. And I will see everyone in my next video. Bye guys.